And that's what brings me to the golden thread. I gave you a lot of these inspirational examples, the examples of how the world looks at leadership, how you can also look at leadership, the purpose, the vision, the um, outcomes, uh, with large numbers of people coming together. But what is common on all of these examples is the golden thread that runs through in all of these examples is that they're all design led. And that brings to my second aspect of today's topic, which is design thinking. You must have heard of various aspects of it: design thinking, and so on. So, what is design? Popularly, people think design is making something look beautiful. It is one of the aspects of design, the aesthetic aspect. But that's not just it. Design is actually the intent behind an outcome. We always have a lot of us get outcomes, but design is the intent through which you approach, because of which you get those outcomes. And all these examples I showed you, their intent and the outcome, you can see the exponential outcomes they have got because of the fact that they have been design led. They've been conscious about the choices that they've made. So how does that relate with leadership? The tools of design is what has been used in all of these examples to elevate their thinking, to elevate their approach, and to get together large numbers of people towards a goal and a vision, and thereby getting the outcome. So therefore, it is time to use these tools of design for us so that we redefine how we want to be leaders in when we get out there. We know that we don't have a choice. We got to be leaders. Um, Else, we are going to be swept in the wave of the rapid change that is out there. So, how can you be an effective leader? It is by all of these different tools that are out there. Some of the tools that I'm going to talk about today, or the set of tools, are around these: research, scenarios, futures thinking, and prototypes. So these are the four set of tools that I'm going to talk about today, but there is a lot more when you start looking at it. So when you look at research, we're talking about various tools that understand people really deeply. So, for example, you could create a persona. I'm sure a lot of us would have heard of personas, right? It's about understanding people deeply. You look at their goals, needs, and so on, and look at their aspirations, their personal attributes, and so on. You understand them further through what we call as an empathy map canvas. Empathy is such a um, soft feeling that is out there. How do you even codify it? It's very difficult to codify empathy. But the closest we can come is by using these kind of tools. This is called the empathy map canvas. You can understand what one is seeing, hearing, what are they doing, what are they saying, what do they think and feel. So it's the closest you can come to understand a set of people that are going to be out there. Through the persona and empathy map, you have a deep understanding of what one or people are thinking about. And therefore, you could align them into your vision a lot more, a lot more better. And therefore, you can get your outcomes a lot better. But an important point here is to not restrict ourselves into just looking at these individuals or sets of people. We got to go beyond that. We got to look at the whole aspects of partners and customers and employees, but also look at the business. What kind of purpose that they espouse? What kind of brands that they have? What is their vision? What the entire business ecosystem? The culture that these guys belong to, cultural aspects, as we know, is so very important today than ever before. Running a cultural scan will tell us how people think so very differently in various cultures that they're born in. There are cultures and there are microcultures. There are these small sets of people, that are so different um, and their behaviors are so very different from the larger set. But don't forget the planet. Now, while doing research, we're also looking at the planet. Now, it's not enough to just look at our business. and culture. It's also very important for us to look at the planet itself. So research allows us and gives us those tools to look at all of those things. As I said, the personas and empathy map, but also look at in a much larger level. A lot of you are going to do a lot of research, but don't stop at market research, which is out here, the micro environment, the competition, and so on. Also look at the macro environment. Look at the social, legal, ethical, the demographical, political trends that are around you, the environmental, economical, and technological. Technology is one of the biggest disruptors of today. Just like people and political leaders made decision based on economy and military a few years ago, today technology is the third force because of which people are making those decisions, and making, world is changing because of technology quite seriously. So it's important to understand the macro environment, the social landscape, the political landscape, and so on. When you do that, you get trends, you get signals that you can use to build on research and build out scenarios that are important. Another tool, very important tool for us when we use design, is the tool of scenarios. Looking into complex scenarios, day in the lives of people, different kinds of journeys that we can build, the current journeys, the future scenarios that are going to be there for customers, for employers, for employees, for partners. So what does it mean for children who are going to school? So when you're building a future school, how is that going to be? How will remote learning and physical learning, how will we blend them together? You got to build out scenarios for that. That's a great tool for us, in terms of building them out. Then comes futures thinking, very important. Again, hardly used. This is something that's going to change the way we actually approach work. Futures thinking is so important today than ever before, because we don't know enough about the future. We probably are in a place where we don't know a lot about what's going to happen in the future today. Therefore, it's important that we start looking at futures thinking. Since we don't know, we can start mapping what can be done. So you're not only looking at the current future, but also looking at the near future and the far future as well, across all of these different horizons. You can do that by various methods. One of them is backcasting, because any time in history would have had different kinds of possibilities, and then there was one possibility that emerged from there. In any time in history, same thing now, there are multiple futures that are possible from today. But what is our preferred future? What do we want us to have? What do we want our children to have? What do we want to for the earth to have a few years down the line? What is our preferred future? That is what we do in backcasting. So you kind of map the preferred future, and then you start, if your preferred future, you kind of map that to say 2035, 2050, and then from there you start building out what is it that we need to do today to get to that particular future, so that you get the preferred future. Even if you can't get it, you can also create a conversation around that preferred future, so the world is a lot better than where it was. And that's brings me to the last of the tools of design, which is prototype. A very important concept in design and design thinking is about the ability to do things and show things. It's not enough to have an idea in the head. It's not even enough to just draw it out on paper and then hope that we've got it. It's needed for us to build these kind of prototypes that aligns large numbers of people, extended numbers of people, so that we all come together to create these preferred future, as I said. So what is a prototype? Let's look at what Ford did when they thought about the future of automobiles. when Ford set out to build the future of automobiles, so Ford set out to build the future of automobiles. Instead, they built the future of cities because that was the future of automobiles. As you can see in here, that's a prototype for you. So this video that's telling the story of what could happen in the future. This aligns a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of us are inspired by what could happen in the future. They created a world that does not exist, but have created a world that is so much preferable for us, so much better than what it is. That and that's the question I want to ask all of you. What sort of world do you want to create? Thank you very much.